You don't actually want your manifestation to happen really fast. We need to talk about this because it's a problem. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lorena. I am a self-concept coach and mentor, and I help women to shift their self-concept, shift their identity, step into their most authentic, aligned embodiment so that they can become a match to everything they truly, authentically desire and make all of it happen. If you end up liking this video, please leave a little like, leave me a comment and say hi and let me know what your takeaways are. And if you enjoy this and you want more of this, then you can also subscribe because I upload videos every week, at least once a week, sometimes twice. And lastly, I also advise you to check out the links in the description. There's a bunch of free resources, guidebooks, free master classes, so you can dive straight in, learn more about shifting your state and consciously manifesting your reality through a really holistic and emotionally integrated approach. So today's topic might be a bit controversial because it will go against a lot of the manifestation content that you see on YouTube, specifically this platform. And it irks me. It really rubs me the wrong way what kind of content is out there. And I'm not calling out anybody in specific, by the way. I'm not bad-mouthing anybody. That's not what it's about. I think it's probably well-meaning, sometimes a bit clickbaity. But you have a lot of content out there around getting your manifestation really fast, instantly, quantum jumping, quantum leaping. I even have a video about quantum leaping, but it's in a very different way. Do this and your manifestation will be here tomorrow, and so on. Now, I have a real problem with this, and I felt like I needed to talk about it. The reason I have such a problem with this is because it calls in people who are desperate. It calls in people who are usually unhappy, not feeling fully worthy, wanting a bit of hope, wanting to hear that it's possible, wanting validation. And there is hope, more than hope actually. Whatever you want is possible. It truly is. But speaking to making it happen really fast is problematic to me because then when it doesn't happen really fast, the people who watch it think that there's something wrong with them or that they must somehow be a failure. On top of that, they will keep trying the same approach, whatever the approach is that is promoted, right? There's a million, billion different techniques that people suggest, whether that's affirming a lot all day or whether that's a specific visualization technique or a specific meditation, whatever it is. That's what people then see as persistence, which that is not what persistence is. I'm going to get to what true persistence is later. And it frustrates me because it keeps people stuck. Now, I recently did a video on the ego, which I suggest you to check out. It's a bit of a deep dive into the ego, spiritual ego, how to manage the ego on a conscious manifestation journey. But this type of content of get it in 3 days, instantly manifest, quantum leap, it plays into the desires of the ego because the ego always wants an instant reward. It wants instant gratification. It does not see the point in persisting in something, in working a bit harder for something to come to fruition, right? If you're familiar with my approach, it's not the most comfortable approach because it requires you to dive deep within your subconscious and to face the exact things that you probably don't want to face. But of course, that's not what the ego wants, right? The ego wants what it wants it now, ASAP, and content that tells you that you can have it really fast, just do this one thing, speaks directly to the ego. Now, your manifestation is not a reward, so there's no point in the ego connecting a manifestation to being rewarded anyway. And the reason your manifestation is not a reward is because it's just a reflection of the state you embody and operate from. And if you received your manifestation without already being in that state, first and foremost, you would still look at that manifestation from the state you were in before. So you might still look at that manifestation from a lack of self-worth or a lack of consciousness in general, or fear or insecurity, even though it's here. So that's why your manifestation is not a reward. It's not the be-all end-all. So I have been in this manifestation space for a long time. For quite a few years, I've gone through my own journey, which you can listen or watch my story, linked in the description box below. For a long time, I've studied a lot of spiritual teachers extensively for years. And I have also seen other people's journeys. I have seen people manifest and shift their self-concept very successfully and very sustainably. And I have also seen people post success stories online and in groups that actually hadn't really gotten there. And by that, I don't necessarily mean they are lying or they're, trying to harm you or trying to lie to you. What I mean is that, as I said, sometimes the manifestation can come, but it comes briefly, it comes partially, or it comes and the state that the person who receives the manifestation has is still a state of lack and fear. And that's what you don't see. When you see people post success stories online, you don't check in with them usually. Sometimes you might do, but usually you don't check in with them a year later and go, well, how is that working out for you now? Is it still here? Has it progressed? Have you fallen back into old patterns? How do you feel with it? And I have spoken to a lot of people, and I get a lot of clients come into my world who either have been outright traumatized by people telling them to affirm through their emotions, which makes me absolutely angry, because then you get people who already have some anxiety, already feel fearful of the future, and you tell them to bypass what they are truly feeling. And then they bypass what they're feeling and the anxiety grows, the frustration grows, and they get more and more fearful and more unhappy. And I think it's absolutely irresponsible. On top of that, I don't only get clients come into my field or people come into my community who have realized that pushing through the resistance and their emotions and bypassing what they're feeling and affirming through it or pretending that it's not happening isn't working for them. I also frequently get people who have manifested something very successfully, but then lost it or still don't feel good with it. And often those are the kind of success stories that you read. So if you see these success stories, I'm not saying they're not real, because very often they will be, but just take things with a grain of salt, because you don't know the backstory unless you know the person really well. You don't know what else went into it. You don't know their experience. You don't know what they actually did. You don't know how they feel with it now. You don't know if they're able to sustain it. And I'm not saying that to take away hope or anything like that, because I truly deeply believe that anything you desire is so possible for you. And I have seen incredible manifestations in my own life. I'm really fulfilled with what I have created. I have seen incredible successes in my clients' lives, but things that look really shiny aren't always the reality of things. And there is a way to manifest that is a lot more grounded, a lot more rooted in reality, where you don't have to bypass reality or pretend it's not happening, but you can actually bring your desires into your physical reality. Because what's the point in bypassing your physical reality when that's where you want to experience it, right? And there's a way to manifest what you want really sustainably, so that it actually lasts, so that you feel good with it, that you feel good in the process, and it doesn't require you to abandon or betray yourself. And it also doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately. I would like things to happen really fast. My ego wants things to happen really fast. Of course, we all want that. But truthfully, even the overnight shifts that you see, they don't really happen overnight. It often just appears that way. For example, there are certain things in my life that I have manifested, like success in my business, having an $8,000 to $10,000 sales day. That was cool. Like a relationship, like this place where I live now, this flat. And from the outside, it will look to you like it just happened overnight, because that's what it looks like externally. But you don't see all the internal work that went into it before. You don't see how much I had to face my fears. You don't see how I really transcended the resistance, how I had to work with my ego. You don't see all the emotional processing that went into it. You don't see all the embodiment work that went into it. You don't see all of these elements that I put, all of that work that I put into this process very intentionally that came before the actual manifestation. And so it sometimes looks like things happen overnight when truthfully it all unfolded over time, often over weeks, sometimes even months. Now, in saying that, obviously, if you don't see anything shifting in your life, or you've been trying to manifest something for many, many months, or maybe even years, then it's maybe time to look within and see maybe what I'm doing isn't actually working. Maybe I need to find a different approach. Just like I said, with affirming through emotions, a lot of people can keep themselves stuck because it doesn't actually work for them, and it just makes them suppress their true beliefs and their true emotions. Anyways, it doesn't happen overnight. It often just appears that way. But when a pattern is broken, when a pattern is truly broken, it stays broken. And for that, you have to put in the work. You often have to get support. You can't just sit there and bypass and hope that things will get better one day. Now, I also want to talk about the desire to avoid pain, because that's another reason why the ego really likes get it in 3 days, instantly manifest, quantum leap. The ego likes it because if you're in pain, and that doesn't have to be severe pain, right? That can just be, I am in a circumstance that I don't like. I don't want this experience that I'm currently having. That can be the situation. If that's the situation that you're in, then your motivation is to get out of that pain. You're not necessarily moving towards a desire, you're more getting out of the pain that you're in. You don't want to feel maybe the sense of unworthiness that you're feeling because you don't have a relationship. You maybe don't want to feel the sense of rejection that you're feeling because you've sent out 100 job applications and none of them have worked. You maybe don't want to feel the sense of entrapment that you're feeling because you've lived in the same place for 10 years and you want to get out of it, but you're not doing it. So often the idea of getting something really fast appeals to you because you want to get out of the pain and your ego wants to avoid pain at all costs. But guess what? Actually getting what you want and getting it sustainably, where it actually lasts, where you don't have to lie to yourself or betray yourself in order to get it, that often includes pain. Now, not necessarily pain, but definitely discomfort, which is often something that people don't want to do, right? The approach that I use with my clients, that's not an easy sell. That's not what people jump on and say, yeah, I want to do that. Yes, I want to face my fears. Amazing. Yes, I want to get really uncomfortable. Yes, I want to stretch my nervous system. Yes, I want to look at all the things that I don't like about myself. Nobody wants to do that. People still do it, and I still do it because the result is so freaking rewarding. I used to be so unfulfilled, so unhappy. I used to be, even when I wasn't unhappy, in kind of like a meh place where things weren't progressing. And I'm not only not there anymore, I'm incredibly happy and thriving, and I love the life I live. So moving through that discomfort and doing this work is absolutely worth it. But initially, of course, you don't want to do it. You don't want to face all this. You don't want to experience this. You would rather do one technique and maybe do it over and over again and hope that this brings you the reality that you want so that you don't have to sit with the uncomfortable stuff. Because we'd all rather do that. You don't want to feel the experience of your current circumstances if that's not what you like. So you're avoiding it. But avoiding it isn't going to get you to where you want to go. Growth is uncomfortable because it's going to stretch you. And stretching yourself into a new self-concept is going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to give you discomfort. It's going to lead to growing pains. And if you think you've changed your self-concept, but you've not actually come up against these fears and this discomfort, then you haven't. I'm sorry, then you haven't changed your self-concept. Now, despite instant manifestation sounding so good to the ego, you don't actually want your manifestation to happen fast. And that's for multiple reasons. Number one, fast is not sustainable. If you want to sustain your manifestations, you need to get your whole system, get used to it. You need to align your self-concept with the new. And especially if that's a big jump from where you currently are, that's not going to happen fast because it's so unfamiliar to where you currently are. So if you want your manifestation to not only arrive, but also stay with you, you want it to be sustainable. You don't want it to happen fast. Number two, you don't want it to happen fast because your nervous system needs to expand into that version of yourself first. That is an intentional process of nervous system expansion, which is a big part of the reprogramming work, the subconscious reprogramming and rewiring work, the self-concept transformation work that I do with my clients, because it is essential for you to expand into that new version of yourself before the manifestation arrives, because what happens otherwise is either it won't come, you won't manifest it, or if you do, your nervous system is going to be overwhelmed and it's going to collapse and you're going to contract and the discomfort is going to be too much and you won't be able to hold the experience and often also not the manifestation itself, and it will leave again. Just like there is discomfort in feeling the fear and the pain and the sadness and the grief, there is also discomfort in feeling joy and pleasure and ecstasy if it's something that you're not used to, or if it's of a size, of an intensity that is too overwhelming for your system. But you want the joy and you want the pleasure and you want the love and you want the ecstasy. So you need to expand your nervous system first so it can hold all of these emotions, all of these experiences, so that you can receive them and enjoy them. Number three, you don't want it to happen fast because it takes time to step into the self-concept of feeling fully worthy of receiving it. And if you don't feel fully worthy of receiving it, by the time the manifestation arrives, you will feel worse about yourself and you will feel like you don't deserve it, like you're an imposter, like you're a fraud. You will feel like it's a fluke, like something went wrong, like you're gonna be found out, like people are gonna judge you and alienate you. And then it's not actually going to be an enjoyable experience to have the very thing that you want. You don't want it to happen fast because you want to actually enjoy it when it comes and you want to maintain it. You want to feel good with the process and you don't want it to be taken away. So don't fall for the quick fixes. Stop just scratching the surface. There are no shortcuts. You will have to go deep, but when you do that, and when you follow an intentional approach, and best of all, when you accept help, when you allow yourself to receive support, you will be able to collapse time and to get there that much quicker and that much more safely as well, because you will be held in that journey, in that experience. You will be rewarded. Your persistence will pay off, and that is where the transformation truly happens. And it's also where your results are guaranteed. So let me know your thoughts, your experiences, share them in the comments. I would really love to hear your stories, where you're at. Tell me everything. And I will see you again in next week's video.